For centuries, the sacred chambers of ancient Egypt have concealed secrets that few dared to imagine. Among these mysteries lies the story of the temple virgins, young women chosen for a life of ritual and isolation under the watchful eyes of the priests. What happened behind those temple walls was far more than religious ceremony. It was a series of practices so extreme, so psychologically profound, that modern historians describe them as worse than death itself. Today, we peel back the layers of myth and legend to expose the reality of these hidden rituals. Prepare to discover how the pursuit of purity and spiritual perfection led to some of the most disturbing rites in history. The truth behind the temple virgins is more unsettling than anyone ever expected. Ancient Egypt is often celebrated for its remarkable advancements in health and medicine. The civilization developed sophisticated beauty rituals, herbal remedies, and surgical techniques that were centuries ahead of their time. Yet, beyond the impressive achievements that filled their scrolls and temples, there existed a world of hidden practices known only to the priesthood. Within the sacred chambers of Egypt's great temples, rituals unfolded that were shrouded in secrecy and reserved for a select few. These ceremonies, often involving temple virgins, were believed to ensure spiritual purity and divine favor. However, the true nature of these rituals remained concealed from the public, leaving behind only fragments of evidence and whispered legends. Today, new archaeological discoveries are beginning to shed light on these enigmatic practices, revealing a side of ancient Egyptian health rituals that few have ever seen. In ancient Egypt, the selection of temple virgins was a meticulous and highly controlled process. Girls between the ages of 10 and 14 were chosen based on specific physical traits that priests believed signified divine favor. Symmetrical features, clear eyes, flawless skin, and perfect posture. These attributes were seen as indicators of ritual purity and spiritual potential. Once selected, the girls were removed from their families, often never to return. This separation was permanent, marking a profound shift in their lives. The chosen virgins did not volunteer for this path. Instead, their destinies were decided for them by the religious authorities. This practice underscored the immense power priests held and the sacrifices demanded in the pursuit of spiritual perfection. Temple virgins were subjected to an extraordinary level of isolation within the sacred precincts of the temple. They lived in a secluded area known as the House of Life, where strict rules governed every aspect of their existence. Communication with outsiders was strictly forbidden, and even among themselves, conversation was limited and closely monitored. Expressions of emotion were suppressed, as priests believed that any display of feeling could contaminate their ritual purity. The girls were not allowed to look at their own reflections unless under supervision, a measure intended to prevent vanity or self-awareness. This relentless control over their interactions and inner lives led to profound psychological effects, stripping them of individuality and reinforcing their roles as vessels of ritual rather than as people. The isolation protocol was designed to maintain spiritual cleanliness, but it often resulted in emotional fragmentation and a deep sense of loneliness. The isolation imposed on temple virgins had profound psychological effects. Cut off from their families and the outside world, these young women were required to suppress all outward displays of emotion. Over time, this constant emotional restraint led to a loss of personal identity and a sense of detachment from their own feelings. The strict rules forbidding self-expression and even unsupervised self-reflection created an environment where individuality was systematically erased. Modern experts believe that such conditions likely resulted in chronic anxiety, emotional numbness, and long-term psychological distress. The rituals, intended to purify, instead left lasting scars on the minds of those who endured them. The purification rituals imposed on temple virgins were both physically and psychologically intense. One of the primary practices was herbal fasting, where the girls consumed bitter tonics made from blue lotus, fenugreek, and desert myrrh. Herbs believed to suppress appetite and alter perception. This was followed by temperature shock therapy. The virgins were placed in scorching hot chambers, then abruptly moved to cold stone rooms, a process intended to purge impurities from their bodies. Night vigils added another layer of hardship, as the girls were forced to stay awake for long periods, chanting mantras designed to erase their sense of individuality. These combined rituals often resulted in hormonal imbalances, chronic stress, and a profound sense of dissociation. The overarching goal was to strip away any trace of personal identity, leaving only what the priests deemed pure and spiritually acceptable. The purification practices imposed on temple virgins had profound physical and psychological consequences. Herbal fasting and exposure to extreme temperatures often led to hormonal imbalances, disrupting natural growth and development. The constant deprivation of sleep and enforced emotional suppression contributed to chronic stress and anxiety. Over time, these conditions could trigger dissociation, a psychological state where the girls felt detached from their own thoughts and identities. Modern experts compare these effects to early forms of sensory manipulation, which can fragment a person's sense of self. While the rituals were intended to achieve spiritual purity, the reality was a lasting impact on both body and mind, leaving scars that were invisible but deeply damaging. Hidden deep within the temple, the monthly ritual called the Ceremony of the Hidden Sun unfolded in absolute secrecy. During this ceremony, temple virgins were subjected to intense sensory deprivation, kept in darkness and silence for hours, their senses dulled to the outside world. The air would fill with the sound of rhythmic chanting, a mantra repeated endlessly to silence the ego and dissolve any sense of individuality. Touch rituals followed, performed by priests to symbolically sever the connection between the earthly body and earthly desires. These practices were believed to purify the soul, but in reality, they stripped away personal identity and autonomy. Ancient papyri describe this as a process of erasing the self, leaving the girls as mere vessels for divine presence. For many, it was a fate more devastating than death itself. Identity erasure refers to the systematic removal of a person's sense of self, individuality, and personal agency. In the context of ancient Egyptian temple rituals, this process was not just physical, but deeply psychological. Temple virgins were subjected to practices designed to suppress their emotions, silence their thoughts, and disconnect them from their own identities. Historians argue that this loss of self was more devastating than death itself, as it stripped these young women of everything that made them unique. Rather than simply ending a life, the rituals erased the very core of who they were. This is why many scholars describe the fate of temple virgins as worse than oblivion, because what was taken from them could never be restored. Leading Egyptologists and historians have closely examined the psychological and physical toll these rituals took on temple virgins. According to Dr. Helena Marcus, the intense sensory manipulation and emotional suppression resembled early forms of psychological conditioning, often resulting in emotional fragmentation. Dr. Samuel Rhodes highlights that while these practices were intended to promote spiritual health, they were deeply invasive by modern standards, affecting both the body and the mind. Anthropologist Dr. Leila Khoury points out that the girls were not seen as individuals, but as living symbols, making it easier for the system to reshape or even erase their identities. Collectively, these expert perspectives reveal a sobering truth. The pursuit of ritual purity often came at the expense of personal well-being and individuality. Recent archaeological discoveries have offered remarkable new insights into the secretive world of ancient Egyptian temple life. In the city of Buto, researchers uncovered ritual tools used in the worship of the goddess Hathor, including a limestone pillar, a maternity chair, incense burners, and a pure gold eye of Ra. These artifacts reveal the daily religious practices and the vital role of ritual purity within temple walls. Meanwhile, at the ancient seaport of Berenike, excavations revealed a unique shrine containing the remains of 15 falcons, many of them headless, arranged around a ceremonial pedestal. This unusual practice, blending Egyptian and Blemmy's traditions, points to ritual activities previously undocumented in temple history. Together, these findings illuminate the complex and often mysterious rituals that shape the lives of those who served within Egypt's sacred spaces. Recent excavations near Queen Hatshepsut's funerary temple in Luxor have unveiled a series of ancient rock-cut tombs and burial shafts, offering a rare glimpse into Egypt's burial traditions. Among the discoveries were bronze coins from the era of Ptolemy I, clay toys believed to have belonged to children, funerary masks, amulets, and intricately carved scarabs. These artifacts not only highlight the personal belongings and beliefs of those interred, but also reflect the complex rituals surrounding death and the afterlife in ancient Egypt. The presence of such diverse items suggests a society deeply invested in ensuring protection and comfort for the deceased on their journey beyond. These findings enrich our understanding of the individuals connected to Queen Hatshepsut's reign and the broader spiritual landscape of the time. Through these discoveries, archaeologists are piecing together the social and religious significance of burial practices in one of Egypt's most iconic eras. Recently, archaeologists uncovered a sealed chamber beneath the Temple of Hathor, where they discovered a papyrus unlike any previously found. This ancient document details the final stage of the Temple Virgin ritual, a practice shrouded in secrecy for centuries. According to the papyrus, the concluding ritual involved intense sensory deprivation and a series of symbolic acts designed to erase the initiate's personal identity. The text describes how participants were isolated, deprived of light and sound, and subjected to repetitive chants that aimed to dissolve their sense of self. The psychological effects were profound, leaving many with lasting emotional fragmentation and a loss of individuality. Even the priests who recorded the ritual cautioned that it should never be performed again, noting its capacity for deep and irreversible psychological harm. This discovery forces us to reconsider the true cost of ancient notions of purity and spiritual perfection. The legacy of temple virgins offers a profound glimpse into the complexities of ancient Egyptian spirituality and their pursuit of purity. These rituals, while rooted in a desire for spiritual perfection, reveal the lengths to which societies have gone in the name of health and the divine. The psychological and physical demands placed on these young women highlight a culture where individual identity was often sacrificed for religious ideals. Through recent archaeological discoveries and historical analysis, we see how these practices shaped not only the lives of the temple virgins, but also the broader understanding of health, ritual, and power in ancient Egypt. Their story challenges us to reflect on the boundaries between devotion and sacrifice, and how the quest for purity can sometimes lead to unforeseen consequences. Ultimately, the experiences of temple virgins remind us that history is filled with both remarkable achievements and deeply human costs. The story of temple virgins in ancient Egypt reveals how much remains hidden beneath the surface of history. By uncovering these forgotten rituals and practices, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities and shadows that shaped ancient societies. Exploring these secrets not only challenges our perceptions, but also reminds us of the lengths people once went in pursuit of purity and perfection. As we continue to investigate the mysteries of the past, each discovery brings us closer to the truth about humanity's origins. There are countless civilizations with stories waiting to be revealed, and together we can shed light on the darkest corners of history. Your curiosity and engagement drive these explorations forward, opening new doors to knowledge and understanding.